Get your filthy black hands off my son's things! Victoria Hartwell's voice cracks like a whip through the penthouse kitchen. Her manicured hand strikes Wanda Laurent's face, a sharp slap that echoes off marble countertops and designer cabinets. Wanda's head snaps to the side. Her cheek burns. Victoria snatches the flashcard from Wanda's trembling fingers and rips it apart. German? German? She throws the pieces at Wanda's feet. My autistic son will never speak. 4 specialists confirmed it. But you, the maid, think you can teach him languages? She kicks the notebook across the floor. It slides open, revealing a hand-drawn chart. 9 boxes, 6 filled with check marks. Victoria's eyes narrow. What is this? Wanda's voice barely rises above a whisper. Mrs. Hartwell, Noah can already speak 6... Shut up! Victoria grabs her phone. 1 call to immigration and you're gone. You're nothing. Wanda tastes blood on her lip, but her eyes stay locked on that chart. Because what happens next will prove Victoria dead wrong. 6 months earlier, the Hartwell penthouse looked like something from a magazine spread. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Manhattan skyline. Original artwork lined hallways wider than most studio apartments. Every surface gleamed with the kind of wealth that didn't need to announce itself. It simply existed. James Hartwell III sat in his home office staring at a file marked Noah Hartwell, medical summary. Tech billionaire, Forbes list regular, a man who'd built an empire on solving impossible problems, but he couldn't solve his son. Mr. Hartwell, the lead specialist from Mount Sinai, adjusted her glasses. I want to be clear about Noah's prognosis. 3 other doctors nodded from their seats around the mahogany conference table. 4 specialists, 4 identical conclusions. Noah is 8 years old, the specialist continued. He received his autism diagnosis at age 3. He's nonverbal. Based on our comprehensive evaluation, his cognitive delays are severe and permanent. Victoria Hartwell sat beside her husband, perfectly composed in a designer suit that cost more than most people's monthly rent. What does that mean exactly? It means Noah will never speak fluently. His language processing centers show minimal activity. We recommend considering specialized residential care by age 10. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. James closed the file. My son is staying home. Of course, the specialist said gently. We're simply saying, don't expect miracles. Noah's brain isn't wired for language acquisition. After the doctors left, Victoria stood at the window, watching the city below. Maybe they're right. Maybe we need to accept reality. In the kitchen, Wanda Laurent wiped down counters she'd already cleaned twice. She'd heard every word through the intercom Victoria had forgotten to turn off. She thought about her niece back in Haiti, the one doctors had given up on, the one Wanda had taught to speak 4 languages. Wanda Laurent's room was the smallest in the penthouse, a converted storage space behind the kitchen with a window facing the building's air shaft. Not the skyline, never the skyline. She sat on her narrow bed holding a photograph that had traveled across an ocean and through a lifetime. Port-au-Prince, 2009. Wanda stood in front of the Université d'État de Haiti, surrounded by students, her arm raised mid-lecture. The sign above her read, Department of Comparative Linguistics, Professor Wanda Laurent, specialist in multilingual acquisition, fluent in 9 languages, English, French, Creole, Spanish, Portuguese, German, Italian, Mandarin, Japanese. That woman in the photo had published papers, had trained teachers, had unlocked the gift of language in hundreds of students across 2 decades. That woman died on January 12, 2010, when the earthquake hit. The university collapsed. Her office, her research, her credentials, all buried under rubble. She'd survived. Her career hadn't. Wanda traced the faces in the photograph. So many of them hadn't made it out. She'd arrived in New York 3 months after the earthquake with a tourist visa and $340 in her pocket. 52 years old. No credentials the U.S. would recognize, no money to recertify, no time before the visa expired. She'd found work cleaning apartments, then offices, then 6 years ago, a live-in position with the Hartwells. It's temporary, she'd told herself, just until I save enough. But saving enough never happened. The visa expired. Going back meant starting over with nothing. Staying meant disappearing into the invisible army of immigrant workers who kept New York running while the city looked right through them. Victoria Hartwell had interviewed her for exactly 4 minutes. You clean? You cook? You know how to stay quiet? Yes, ma'am. Good. My son has special needs. He stays in the East Wing. You don't interact with him. The therapists handle everything, understood? Yes, ma'am. Wanda folded the photograph and tucked it back into her Bible, the only book from Haiti she'd managed to keep. On the nightstand beside her bed sat a brand-new spiral notebook, its pages still blank. She picked up a pencil and drew a grid. 3 rows, 3 columns, 9 empty boxes, 1 for each language. The Hartwell family moved through their home like planets in separate orbits, never quite touching. James left for his office at 6 a.m., returned after 8 p.m., spent his evenings in video conferences with Tokyo and London. He communicated with Wanda through notes left on the kitchen counter. Low on coffee. Dry cleaning Thursday. Never please. Never thank you. Victoria spent her days at charity luncheons and gallery openings, orchestrating a social calendar that kept her name in the right circles. She gave Wanda instructions without making eye contact, as if speaking to the air itself. The caterer arrives at 4. Make sure the silver is polished. Yes, ma'am. And stay in the kitchen when guests are here. I don't want you wandering around. Yes, ma'am. Noah lived in the East Wing, a world of scheduled therapies and behavioral interventions. 3 ABA therapists rotated through 12-hour shifts, implementing programs designed by specialists who charge $400 per hour to teach an 8-year-old to make eye contact for 5 seconds. Wanda watched from doorways, careful never to cross the invisible boundaries Victoria had drawn. She watched the therapists work with flashcards. Noah, look at me. Good. Now say ball, ball, ball. Noah stared at the ceiling, humming a tuneless melody. Redirect his attention. He's stimming again. One afternoon, Wanda overheard 2 therapists talking in the hallway. Honestly, I don't think he'll ever get there. Nonverbal at 8? The window's basically closed. The parents are in denial. 4 doctors told them the same thing. Yeah, but they're paying us, so... The therapist shrugged. We keep trying. Wanda gripped the laundry basket tighter. That's what they said about her niece in Haiti, that the window had closed, that trying was pointless. They'd been wrong then, too. It happened on a Tuesday morning when the lead therapist called in sick and the replacement was running late. Wanda was dusting the East Wing hallway, something Victoria had explicitly told her not to do, but the baseboards were filthy and Wanda's hands couldn't stay idle. Through the open door of Noah's room, she heard it. Humming. Not the tuneless stimming the therapists always redirected. This was different, structured, melodic. Noah sat on the floor, arranging toy cars by color, red, blue, green, yellow, red, blue, green, yellow, and humming a pattern that matched the sequence. Wanda stopped dusting. The pattern repeated. Perfect pitch, perfect rhythm. Without thinking, she hummed back. A Creole lullaby her mother had sung, the melody rising and falling like waves. Noah's hands froze on the yellow car. Wanda held her breath. Slowly, Noah's head turned. His eyes, dark and deep and usually focused on nothing, locked onto hers. Real eye contact, sustained, searching. Wanda's heart hammered against her ribs. She hummed the next phrase. Noah tilted his head, processing. Then his mouth opened and he hummed back. Not the original Creole melody, something new, something that bridged the 2 patterns into a conversation. Wanda stepped into the room, barely breathing. She knelt 3 feet away, careful not to crowd him. Bonjour, Noah, she whispered in French. Hello. Noah blinked. His eyes never left her face. She tried again, slower. Bonjour. Noah's lips moved. No sound came out, but his mouth shaped the syllables. Wanda's eyes stung with tears she couldn't let fall. This child, this boy 4 doctors had declared cognitively delayed, linguistically impaired, permanently nonverbal, was trying to communicate. Not in English, not in the language his therapists had been drilling into him for 5 years. In French, in melody, in pattern. His brain wasn't broken. It was just listening for something different. The front door slammed. Victoria's voice echoed from the foyer. I'm back. Where's Noah's lunch? Wanda stood quickly, smoothing her uniform. Noah returned to his cars, the moment evaporating like morning mist. But as Wanda backed out of the room, Noah glanced up one more time and hummed her melody back. That night, Wanda couldn't sleep. She sat on her bed with the spiral notebook open on her lap, staring at the empty grid. 9 boxes, 9 languages, 9 chances to prove the world wrong. At 5:15 a.m., before Victoria's alarm went off, before James left for the office, Wanda slipped into Noah's room with a single flashcard. Bonjour, she whispered, holding up the card with a sun drawn on it. Soleil, sun. Noah was already awake, sitting on his bed with his cards arranged in their eternal pattern. He looked at the card, looked at Wanda, looked back at the card. Bonjour, Wanda repeated. Soleil. 20 minutes. That's all she had before the first therapist arrived. On day 3, Noah touched the card. On day 5, his lips moved with hers. Bon. On day 12, he whispered it. Bonjour. The sound was barely audible, scratchy from years of silence, but it was there. Real, undeniable. Wanda pressed her hand to her mouth to keep from crying out. That evening, she took out her notebook and marked the first box with a careful check mark. Language #1, French, 1 of 9 complete, week 4. Wanda introduced Spanish. Hola, Noah, hola. She sang Spanish children's songs while folding his laundry, counted in Spanish while organizing his toys, built vocabulary through pattern and melody, the way she'd taught hundreds of students in Port-au-Prince. Noah absorbed it like a plant finally getting water after a drought. Hola, he whispered one morning, his hand reaching out to touch hers. Wanda's breath caught, physical contact, initiated by him. She marked the second box, language #2, Spanish, 2 of 9 complete, week 6, Creole. Messi, she taught him. Thank you. Noah practiced the word silently for 3 days, his mouth forming the shape over and over. On the 4th day, Wanda brought him his favorite breakfast, cut fruit arranged by color. Noah took the plate, looked directly at her, and spoke. Messi. Wanda's knees nearly gave out. She gripped the door frame, tears streaming down her face. Thank you. The first words her mother had taught her, the words that connected them to Haiti, to family, to survival. And now, to this boy. She marked the 3rd box that night, her hand shaking so hard the check mark looked crooked. Language #3, Creole, 3 of 9 complete, 3 languages, 3 months, 6 to go. In the main house, Victoria complained to James that Noah was regressing. He's making these strange sounds, like he's trying to talk, but it's all garbled. James barely looked up from his laptop. The therapists know what they're doing. Wanda stood in the kitchen, listening through the intercom. She knew exactly what Noah was doing. He was learning. Month 3 arrived with autumn rain and a new language. Bom dia, Noah, Portuguese, good morning. Wanda had decided to accelerate. 3 months for 3 languages meant she could do 9 in 9 months, if she didn't get caught. Noah took to Portuguese faster than the others. Within 2 weeks, he was counting, dois, tres, quatro. Wanda marked her chart. Language #4, Portuguese, 4 of 9 complete, 5 to go. But the accelerated pace came with risks. Noah was changing in ways that couldn't be hidden. He made eye contact now, sustained, purposeful. He reached for people's hands. He hummed in different melodies depending on which language Wanda had used that morning. The therapists noticed. He's not responding to prompts anymore, the lead therapist told Victoria. He seems distracted, like he's listening to something else. Victoria frowned. What do you mean, something else? I don't know, but he's definitely regressing in his English programs. We might need to increase his therapy hours. Wanda was dusting the hallway close enough to hear. Her hands tightened on the cloth. Month 4, Italian. Ciao, Noah. Buongiorno. She taught him through opera, playing recordings on her ancient phone through earbuds she'd bought at a bodega for $3. Noah's face lit up at the dramatic melodies. Within days, he was singing phrases back. Bella, bella, bella. Beautiful. Language #5, Italian, 5 of 9 complete. But Victoria's assistant, a sharp-eyed woman named Claire, was getting suspicious. Wanda was reaching for a high shelf in the kitchen when she heard footsteps behind her. What are you doing in the East Wing? Wanda turned. Claire stood in the doorway, arms crossed, staring at the flashcards scattered across the counter, cards Wanda had been making during her lunch break. I was just cleaning, ma'am. Claire picked up a card. Buongiorno, what is this? Just practice. For myself. Practice. Claire's voice dripped with skepticism. She pocketed the card. Mrs. Hartwell asked you to stay away from Noah. Are you following her instructions? Yes, ma'am. Good. Because if I find out you're interfering with his therapy... She let the threat hang in the air. After Claire left, Wanda's hands shook so badly she had to sit down. 5 languages, 4 months. She was more than halfway there. But the walls were closing in. That night, Wanda stared at her notebook, at the 4 remaining empty boxes. German, Mandarin, Japanese, Advanced English. Her visa had expired 8 months ago. 1 phone call from Victoria, 1 single call to immigration, and she'd be deported. Everything Noah had learned would be dismissed as imagination or coincidence. The therapist would increase his medications. The specialist would recommend institutionalization. And Noah would lose his voice again. Wanda pressed her hand to the page over those empty boxes. 4 more, she whispered to the darkness. Just 4 more. In the East Wing, Noah lay in bed, humming a lullaby in 5 languages. Nobody was listening. Nobody but Wanda. The explosion came on a Monday morning. Wanda was teaching Noah language #6, German, when she heard Victoria's heels clicking down the East Wing hallway, fast, angry. Out, now! Wanda stood quickly, sliding the German flashcards behind her back. Mrs. Hartwell, I said out! Victoria grabbed Wanda's arm and dragged her into the hallway, slamming Noah's door behind them. In the living room, the lead therapist stood with her arms crossed, her expression carefully neutral. Professional. Condemning. Tell her, Victoria snapped. Tell her what you told me. The therapist cleared her throat. Mrs. Hartwell, over the past 2 months, Noah has shown significant behavioral changes. He's non-responsive to English commands. He makes sounds that don't correspond to any of our language programs. He appears to be listening to something we're not hearing. And? Victoria's voice was ice. And I believe someone has been interfering with his therapy, someone who doesn't understand the delicate balance we're maintaining. Victoria turned to Wanda. Is it true? Have you been spending time with my son? Mrs. Hartwell, if you just let me explain. Explain! Victoria's hand shot out and grabbed the flashcards from behind Wanda's back. She stared at them, her face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and rage. Guten Tag. Danke, what the hell is this? German, Wanda said quietly. Noah is learning. The slap came so fast Wanda didn't have time to flinch. Her head snapped to the side, her cheek exploding in pain. How dare you? Victoria's voice shook. My son is autistic. He will never learn to speak properly. 4 specialists, 4, confirmed he has permanent cognitive delays. But you, the maid, think you know better than doctors? She ripped the flashcards in half, then in half again. The pieces fluttered to the expensive rug like snow. Do you know what you've done? You've confused him. You've set back months of therapy. You've filled his head with gibberish when he can't even say mama in English. Wanda's eyes burned, but she kept her voice steady. Mrs. Hartwell, Noah can speak. He's already learned. Shut up! Victoria grabbed her phone from her pocket. You're lucky I don't call immigration right now. Do you understand what happens if I make 1 call? 1 call? The threat hung in the air like smoke. Wanda's throat tightened. Deportation. Back to Haiti with nothing. No credentials, no job, no way to help Noah. I understand, she whispered. Good. Victoria stepped closer, her voice dropping to a hiss that somehow felt more violent than the slap. You stay away from my son. You don't speak to him. You don't look at him. You don't even think about him. You're the help. You clean, you cook, you stay invisible. That's all you're good for. She kicked Wanda's notebook across the floor. It slid under the coffee table, pages crumpling. Now get out of my sight. Wanda bent down slowly, her cheeks still throbbing, and retrieved her notebook. The pages had bent, but the grid was still visible. 6 boxes checked, 3 empty, 6 of 9 complete. So close. As she walked back to her room, Victoria's voice echoed behind her. And if I catch you near Noah again, you're done. Not just fired, gone. Understand? Wanda closed her door and slid down against it. The notebook clutched to her chest. 6 languages. 3 months. She'd promised to stop. But how could she abandon Noah when they'd come so far? For 3 days, Wanda kept her promise. She stayed in the kitchen, cleaned the bathrooms, folded laundry, avoided the East Wing like it was radioactive. She heard Noah crying through the walls at night, heard the therapist's frustrated voices during the day. He's completely shut down, won't make eye contact, won't respond to any prompts. On the fourth morning, at 4:30 a.m., Wanda's alarm went off. She sat on her bed, staring at her notebook. 6 languages, 6 check marks, 3 empty boxes staring back like accusations: German, Mandarin, Japanese, Advanced English. She thought about her niece in Haiti, about the moment doctors had said give up and Wanda had said not yet. She thought about Noah's eyes lighting up when he'd first said Messi. She thought about Victoria's voice. You're the help. That's all you're good for. At 4:55 a.m., Wanda slipped into Noah's room. He was awake, staring at the ceiling, his face blank in a way that made her heart crack. Guten Morgen, Noah, she whispered in German. Good morning. Noah's eyes shifted to her. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then his mouth moved. Guten Morgen, Wanda breathed. Guten Morgen, Noah whispered back. Wanda covered her mouth with her hand, tears streaming silently down her face. He hadn't forgotten. 3 days of silence, and he hadn't forgotten. For the next 4 weeks, Wanda lived on the razor's edge of discovery. She woke at 4:45 a.m., 15 minutes earlier than before, taught Noah until 5:35, then disappeared before the first therapist arrived. German became his fastest language. Danke, bitte, ich liebe dich. Thank you, please, I love you. She marked the box with shaking hands. Language #6 German, 6 of 9 complete. Month 5, language #7 Mandarin. This one terrified her. Tonal languages were difficult even for neurotypical children. The 4 tones, flat, rising, falling, changed meanings entirely. She practiced with Noah using simple words, showing him how to shape his mouth, how to let the melody rise and fall. Noah listened, his head tilted, processing. Then he repeated them back perfectly, all 4 tones, first try. Wanda's hands went numb. Within 2 weeks, Noah was counting to 20. Within 3, he was speaking simple phrases in Mandarin. The children in her university classes in Haiti had taken 6 months to achieve what Noah did in 3 weeks. His brain wasn't delayed. It was exceptional. She marked the box. Language #7 Mandarin, 7 of 9 complete. Month 6, language #8 Japanese. Ohayo gozaimasu, Wanda whispered. Good morning. Noah bowed just slightly the way she'd shown him. Ohayo. Japanese came even faster than Mandarin. Noah loved the formality, the structure, the way respect was built into the grammar itself. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you very much. He practiced bowing at different angles for different levels of gratitude. Wanda had to bite her lip to keep from laughing with pure joy. Language #8, Japanese, 8 of 9 complete. 8 languages, 6 months, 1 more to go. That night, Wanda pulled out her ancient phone and recorded Noah speaking. 30 seconds in each language, translating the same simple story about a boy and his toy car. English, French, Spanish, Creole, Portuguese, Italian, German, Mandarin, Japanese. 8 languages. 1 8-year-old boy. Proof that would change everything, or destroy her completely. Week 26, the final language. Wanda sat on Noah's floor at 5 a.m. with a realization that made her laugh quietly in the dark. Noah, she said, we're going to learn language #9 today. Noah looked up from his cars, waiting. Advanced English. He tilted his head, confused. He already spoke English, survival English, basic commands, the language therapists had drilled into him for years. But Wanda wasn't teaching him that English. She was teaching him the English she'd taught her university students: grammar, structure, formal syntax. The difference between I want water and I would appreciate some water, please. The power of subjunctive mood, the elegance of compound complex sentences. She was teaching him the English that would prove he wasn't cognitively delayed. Listen, she said, not I want to go, but I would like to go, not give me that. But may I have that, please? Do you hear the difference? Noah's eyes sharpened with focus. For 2 weeks, they worked on formal English every morning. Wanda brought books from the library, children's literature, but complex. Charlotte's Web, The Secret Garden. Stories with sophisticated vocabulary and layered meanings. Noah devoured them. On day 14, Wanda asked him a simple question. Noah, what would you like for breakfast? Noah looked at her. Then, in perfect, formal English, he said, I would appreciate pancakes, if it's not too much trouble. Thank you. 9 words. Perfect grammar, polite register, sustained eye contact. Wanda pressed her hands to her face and wept. That evening, she took out her notebook. Her hand trembled as she marked the final box. Language #9, Advanced English, all 9 complete. She drew a single thick line under the entire grid, 26 weeks, 9 languages, done. Then she pulled out her phone and recorded Noah again. This time, comprehensive. 5 minutes of him translating the same story through all 9 languages in sequence, followed by him answering questions in formal English about his favorite color, his favorite food, what he dreamed about. His voice was quiet, but clear. His grammar was impeccable. His language switching was seamless, impossible, unprecedented, undeniable. Wanda sat on her bed with the video and the notebook, her heart racing. Now what? She could show the Hartwells, prove Noah's abilities, vindicate everything she'd risked. But Victoria had made herself clear. One call to immigration, one call, and Wanda would be gone. Deported, arrested, disappeared into the system that swallowed people like her every day. If the Hartwells rejected her proof, dismissed it as fake, fired her before she could demonstrate it properly, Noah would lose his voice. The languages would be buried under medications and institutionalization. And Wanda would lose her only chance to prove she was more than the help. She found Maria, the weekend housekeeper, folding laundry in the utility room. "Maria, I need advice." Maria looked up, her expression cautious. "What kind of advice?" Wanda showed her the notebook, told her everything. Maria's face went pale. "Dios mío, Wanda, do you know what you've done? I taught him, that's all. That's not all." Maria gripped her arm. "Rich people don't like being wrong, especially about their own children. If you show them this and they think you're making them look stupid, but it's proof, video proof. Proof doesn't matter if they don't want to see it." Maria's voice dropped. "What matters is you're an undocumented immigrant who disobeyed orders. They'll call you a liar, then they'll call immigration." Wanda stared at the notebook. 9 boxes, 9 check marks. "So what do I do?" Maria squeezed her hand. "I don't know, mija, but whatever you choose, be ready for war." The crisis came from a direction Wanda hadn't anticipated. 2 days after she completed the 9th language, Victoria made an announcement at breakfast. "I've enrolled Noah in the Brenner Institute," she told James, her voice bright with false optimism. "It's a residential program for nonverbal autistic children, state-of-the-art technology. They use tablets and AAC devices instead of traditional speech therapy." James looked up from his coffee. "Residential? Just for 6 months initially, to see if the intensive environment helps." Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. Dr. Morrison recommended it. She thinks Noah would benefit from separation from the home environment. Separation. The word hit Wanda like a fist. They were going to send Noah away. "When?" James asked. "Intake is next Monday." 4 days. Wanda gripped the coffee pot so hard her knuckles went white. That afternoon, she overheard the lead therapist talking to Victoria in the living room. "The Brenner Institute has an excellent pharmaceutical program. They've had great success with selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors for hyperactive autistic children. Combined with the AAC devices, Noah should show significant improvement in compliance." Medications. They were going to medicate him. Wanda felt the room spin. She thought about her cousin in Haiti, the one doctors had put on psychiatric drugs at age 9. The boy who'd been vibrant and curious, who'd loved music and dance. The drugs had turned him into a ghost, quiet, compliant, empty. He'd never recovered. That night, Wanda sat in her room with her notebook open, staring at the 9 check marks until they blurred. 26 weeks, 9 languages. One boy who'd learned what everyone said was impossible, and in 4 days, it would all be erased. She thought about staying silent, about letting Noah go to the Brenner Institute, letting the tablets and medications and intensive environment erase everything they'd built. Thought about keeping her job, her room, her invisibility. Then she thought about Noah bowing when he said arigato, about his face lighting up when he mastered a new Mandarin tone, about him saying, "I would appreciate pancakes if it's not too much trouble." She couldn't let him disappear. At 11 p.m., Wanda sat down at the ancient desktop computer in the building's basement laundry room, the one residents could use for 30 minutes maximum, no personal business. She created a new email account, concernedwitness2024@gmail.com. She uploaded the video of Noah speaking 9 languages. Then she wrote a letter. Mr. Hartwell, you don't know me, but I know your son. The boy doctor said would never speak can already speak 9 languages fluently. I have video proof. Before you send Noah to the Brenner Institute, before you medicate him into silence, please watch this video. Please test him yourself. He is not broken. Your system is broken. You have 4 days to see the truth. A concerned witness. She attached the video file, attached a photo of her chart with all 9 check marks. Her finger hovered over send for a full minute. This was it. The moment that would either save Noah or destroy her. She thought about her professor's office in Port-au-Prince, about the earthquake that had buried everything she'd worked for, about rebuilding from rubble. She'd done it before. She clicked send. The email disappeared into the void. Wanda closed the browser, deleted the history, and walked back to her room. In 4 days, James Hartwell would either watch the video or delete it as spam. In 4 days, Noah would either keep his voice or lose it forever. In 4 days, Wanda would either be vindicated or deported. She looked at her notebook one more time. All 9 complete. Worth it. The knock on Wanda's door came at 11:43 p.m. 3 sharp raps that echoed through her tiny room like gunshots. She sat up in bed, heart hammering, knowing exactly who it was. Open the door! James Hartwell's voice. Not yelling. Somehow worse. Cold, controlled, dangerous. Wanda pulled on her robe and opened the door. James stood in the hallway, still in his work clothes, his tie loosened, his tablet in his hand. Behind him, the penthouse was dark. Victoria asleep, Noah asleep. Just the 2 of them and the truth. Explain. He held up the tablet. On the screen, frozen mid-frame, was Noah's face. Explain this video. Wanda's throat went dry. Mr. Hartwell, is it real? His voice cracked slightly. Is this real or is it AI? Deep fake, some kind of scam? It's real. Prove it. Wanda walked to her closet, hands shaking, and pulled out her notebook, the one Victoria had kicked across the floor, the one with the grid, the 9 check marks, the pencil marks grown darker with each victory. She handed it to James. He stared at it, his jaw working. Language #1, French. Language #2, Spanish. His voice trailed off as he read through all 9. What is this? A curriculum, Wanda said quietly. I taught Noah 9 languages in 26 weeks. You... James looked up at her, his expression cycling through disbelief, confusion, anger. You're the maid, you clean, you don't even... He stopped. Who are you? Wanda met his eyes. My name is Wanda Laurent. I was a professor of comparative linguistics at the Université d'État de Haiti for 20 years. I spoke 9 languages. I taught multilingual acquisition to hundreds of students. Her voice strengthened. Then the earthquake came and I lost everything. My credentials, my career, my country. She pointed at the notebook. But I didn't lose my knowledge. And your son, the one 4 doctors said would never speak properly, has the most extraordinary language processing mind I've ever encountered. That's impossible. Watch the video. James pressed play. For 5 minutes, neither of them spoke. Noah's voice filled the tiny room, cycling through 9 languages like breathing. French to Spanish to Creole to Portuguese to Italian to German to Mandarin to Japanese to formal English, each transition seamless, each pronunciation perfect. When it ended, James just stood there, the tablet hanging loose in his hand. My son, he whispered. That's my son. Yes, but the doctors said, the doctors were wrong. Wanda's voice hardened. Your son isn't broken, Mr. Hartwell. Your system is broken. Monolingual methodology, ABA therapy designed for compliance, not communication. You've been teaching him to perform like a trained animal instead of recognizing he's a genius. James's face flushed. How dare you? How dare I? Wanda stepped forward. I dare because I'm the only person in this building who saw your son as a human being instead of a problem to fix. I dare because you were going to send him away, drug him, erase him. She pointed at the notebook. 9 languages, Mr. Hartwell. Your son speaks 9 languages. You said 0. How many other zeros in your life are actually 9s? The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Finally, James said, If you're lying to me, then test him. Wanda's voice was steel. Right now, wake him up, test him, all 9 languages. Bring in an expert if you don't believe me. James stared at her for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone. Dr. Rebecca Shapiro arrived at 1:17 a.m. wearing sweatpants and a Columbia hoodie, her hair still wet from the shower. "James, this better be worth dragging me out of bed at 1 in the morning." She stopped when she saw Wanda standing in the Hartwell living room, notebook in hand. "What's going on?" "I need you to test my son," James said. "Language assessment, all 9 languages." Dr. Shapiro blinked. 9. James, Noah is nonverbal. The last assessment showed, just test him, please." 20 minutes later, they stood in Noah's room. The boy sat on his bed, rubbing sleep from his eyes, confused by the crowd of adults suddenly surrounding him. Wanda knelt beside him. "Noah, mon chéri, these people want to hear you speak. Can you do that for me?" Noah looked at her, then at the strangers, then back at her. "Oui," he whispered. "Yes." Dr. Shapiro's eyes widened. "That's French," Wanda said. "Would you like to hear the others?" For the next 30 minutes, Dr. Shapiro conducted the most surreal language assessment of her career. She held up a children's book, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and asked Noah to translate the first page. English. "In the light of the moon, a little egg lay on a leaf." Noah read it in English. Then, without prompting, in French, "Au clair de la luna, un petit œuf était couché sur une feuille." Spanish. "A la luz de la luna, un pequeño huevo yacía sobre una hoja." Crayola. "Nan limye la lin nan te gagnon tize qui te couche su yon fe." Portuguese. "A luz da lua, un pequeño ovo estava deitado sobre una folha." Italian. "A la luce de la luna, un piccolo uovo giaceva su una foglia." German. "Im Mondlicht lag ein kleines Ei auf einem Blatt." Mandarin. Noah spoke in Mandarin, his tones perfect. The flat tone, the rising tone, the falling rising tone, the falling tone, each word precisely articulated. Japanese. Noah spoke in Japanese, even bowing slightly as he finished. "Tsuki akari no naka chisana tamago ga hano we ni yokotawate imashita." Then, in perfect formal English, "I have now translated that passage into 8 languages in addition to English for a total of 9 languages. Would you like me to continue to the next page?" The room fell completely silent. Dr. Shapiro stood frozen, her clipboard dangling from her hand. She looked at Wanda, then at Noah, then at James. "Count," she said hoarsely. "Count to 10, all 9 languages." Noah did. "Name the days of the week, all 9. Noah did. "Tell me." Dr. Shapiro's voice cracked. "Tell me what you had for breakfast yesterday." Noah answered in English, then, without being asked, in all 8 other languages. Dr. Shapiro slowly lowered herself into a chair. She raised one hand and counted on her fingers. English, French, Spanish, Creole, Portuguese, Italian, German, Mandarin, Japanese. She looked up at James, her face pale. 9 languages." She turned to Wanda. "How long did this take?" 26 weeks. 26? Dr. Shapiro laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. "That's impossible. Even neurotypical children take years to achieve basic fluency in a second language. 9 languages in 6 months it's unprecedented." Wanda finished quietly. Dr. Shapiro stood and walked to Noah. She knelt in front of him, her eyes searching his face. "Noah, do you like learning languages?" Noah nodded. "Which is your favorite?" Noah thought for a moment. Then, in Japanese, he said, "I like them all equally. Each language is beautiful in its own way, but I think I love French best because it was the first one Miss Wanda taught me, and it made her cry happy tears." Dr. Shapiro's breath caught. She turned to James. "This child isn't nonverbal. He's hyperlexic. He has an auditory pattern genius that I've only read about in theoretical papers." She pointed at Wanda. "And whoever she is, she's just performed a pedagogical miracle." Victoria appeared in the doorway, her silk robe clutched around her, her face creased from sleep. "What's going on? Why is everyone in Noah's—" She stopped, stared at Dr. Shapiro, at Wanda, at James. "What's happening?" James turned to her, his face unreadable. "Noah can speak." "What?" "Not just speak. He can speak 9 languages, fluently." Victoria laughed, a short, sharp bark. "That's ridiculous. James, it's 2 in the morning. What is this?" "Show her," James said to Noah. Noah looked at his mother, then in French he said, "Bonjour, maman. Bonjour. Yetaime. Hello, mother, I love you." Victoria's face went white. Noah continued in Spanish, "Te he extrañado. I've missed you." In Italian, "Sono felice di vederti. I'm happy to see you." In German, Ich kann sprechen. I can speak. Victoria gripped the doorframe. How? Dr. Shapiro stepped forward. Mrs. Hartwell, your son has hyperlexia combined with an extraordinary gift for auditory pattern recognition. His autism didn't block language acquisition, it enhanced it. But conventional monolingual methodology couldn't access his abilities. She gestured to Wanda. By introducing him to 9 distinct phonetic systems simultaneously, this woman unlocked his true processing mode. Victoria's eyes moved to Wanda. The color drained from her face as realization hit. You, she whispered. You did this. Yes, ma'am. I told you to stay away from him. I told you. Her voice rose to a scream. I slapped you! The room fell silent. Victoria pressed her hand to her mouth, her eyes filling with tears. Oh my God. Oh my God. I slapped you. I called you. She couldn't finish the sentence. Wanda stood perfectly still. You called me the help, ma'am. You said I was nothing. Victoria's voice broke. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. You didn't ask, Wanda said quietly. You saw a maid. You didn't see a professor who taught linguistics for 20 years. You didn't see someone who could help your son. You saw my skin color and my uniform, and you decided who I was. Victoria sank into a chair, sobbing. James moved to Wanda, his expression stricken. Why didn't you tell us? If we'd known you were a professor, would you have believed me? Wanda met his eyes. An undocumented immigrant working as your maid claims she used to be a university professor? Would you have listened, or would you have called immigration? The silence was answer enough. Wanda held up her notebook. I had to reach 9, all 9 languages. I had to build proof so undeniable that you couldn't dismiss it. She looked at Noah. Because he was worth it. Dr. Shapiro cleared her throat. Mr. Hartwell, Mrs. Hartwell, I need to be very clear about what I've witnessed tonight. This isn't just impressive. This is publishable. This challenges everything we know about autism and language acquisition. She looked at Wanda. And this woman, whoever she is, has just demonstrated a teaching methodology that could revolutionize special education. James ran his hand through his hair. What do we do now? Wanda closed her notebook. Now? Now you stop trying to fix your son, and you start listening to him. 3 weeks later, Wanda stood on a stage at Columbia University's Miller Theater, her hands shaking as she gripped the podium. The press conference had been James's idea. The world needs to know, he'd said, not just about Noah, about you. 200 people filled the auditorium. Journalists, educators, linguists, autism advocates, 3 cameras from major networks. The room hummed with anticipation. Behind Wanda, mounted on a large screen, was a photograph of her notebook, the grid with 9 check marks. All 9 complete. James stepped to the podium. 6 months ago, 4 specialists told us our son would never speak fluently. They recommended institutionalization, medication, resignation. His voice cracked slightly. We believed them because they were doctors, because we thought expertise meant credentials. He gestured to Wanda. We were wrong. Expertise means knowledge, and knowledge can come from anywhere, even from someone we called the help. The audience murmured. I'd like to introduce you to Professor Wanda Laurent. For 20 years, she taught comparative linguistics at the Université d'État de Haiti. She specialized in multilingual acquisition. She spoke 9 languages. The 2010 earthquake destroyed her university, her credentials, her career. James's voice strengthened. But it didn't destroy her brilliance. And that brilliance saved my son. Wanda stepped forward, her heart pounding. Thank you, Mr. Hartwell. She took a breath. 26 weeks ago, I made a choice. I saw a child who was being told he couldn't learn, and I refused to accept it, because I'd seen it before. In Haiti, children labeled as unable, children dismissed, children medicated into silence. She pointed at the screen behind her. This chart represents 26 weeks of teaching, 1 language every 3 weeks. French, Spanish, Creole, Portuguese, Italian, German, Mandarin, Japanese, Advanced English, 9 languages. A hand shot up in the audience. How is that possible? Neurotypical children take years. Because we're teaching them wrong, Wanda interrupted. We teach language as memorization, as performance. But language is pattern, it's music, it's connection. She looked directly at the camera. Noah's brain wasn't broken. Our methods were broken. The audience erupted in applause. After the press conference, a woman approached Wanda, Dr. Chen from Columbia's Teachers College. Professor Laurent, we'd like to offer you an adjunct position, multilingual neurodevelopment. We need your expertise. Wanda stared at her. I don't have U.S. credentials. You have something better. You have proof. Dr. Chen smiled. Also, Mr. Hartwell is funding a scholarship in your name, the Wanda Laurent Polyglot Promise, for immigrant educators whose credentials weren't recognized. Wanda's eyes filled with tears. Behind the screen, her notebook, her chart with 9 check marks, was already going viral on social media. #9 languages, #Professor Laurent, #listen to the help. The story was just beginning. 6 months after the press conference, the Hartwell Foundation announced a new initiative, the Recognition Project. The goal? Identify and credential immigrant professionals working in jobs that didn't match their expertise. Custodians with engineering degrees, nannies with teaching licenses, drivers with medical training. James stood at another podium, this time at the United Nations. We waste extraordinary talent every day because we judge people by their current circumstances instead of their actual abilities. We see uniforms instead of resumes. We see accents instead of expertise. The program launched in New York, then expanded to 15 cities. In the first year, they credentialed 1,200 immigrant professionals, doctors, lawyers, teachers, engineers, people who'd been invisible, suddenly seen. The media called it the Laurent effect. Meanwhile, Noah Hartwell, now 10 years old, became a voice for neurodivergent education reform. At a TED-style conference, he walked onto stage and spoke in 9 languages, switching between them mid-sentence, demonstrating the fluidity that had once been called confusion. "I'm not broken," he said in English, then French, "Je ne suis pas brise," Spanish, "No estoy roto." In Mandarin, he spoke the words clearly. He cycled through all 9, his voice growing stronger with each one. "I learn differently, not less. My brain isn't wrong, it's extraordinary. And the person who saw that first wasn't a doctor. It was the woman my mother called the help." The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Victoria Hartwell sat in the front row, tears streaming down her face. Beside her sat Wanda, wearing a Columbia faculty ID badge. After the talk, a journalist asked Victoria, "How do you feel about what happened?" Victoria took a breath. Ashamed, grateful, changed. She looked at Wanda. "I spent 6 years with a genius in my home and I never saw her. I saw her skin color, her job title, her immigration status." Her voice broke. "I'm spending the rest of my life making sure other people don't make the same mistake." The news coverage showed Wanda's chart, now a symbol recognized worldwide. 9 boxes, 9 check marks, 9 languages that proved expertise doesn't need permission, it needs recognition. Wanda Laurent's office at Columbia University was small but bright, with a window overlooking the campus quad. On the wall behind her desk hung 3 frames. The first, her diploma from the Université d'État de Haiti, restored and authenticated after months of paperwork. Professor of Comparative Linguistics, 1989 to 2010. The second, her original notebook, the pages carefully preserved. The grid with 9 boxes, 9 check marks, all 9 complete. The third, a photograph from the press conference. Wanda at the podium, James and Victoria standing behind her, and Noah in the front row, his hands forming the sign for "I love you" in 9 different languages. Every Tuesday afternoon, Noah visited for what they called language playdates. Today they were working on languages 10, 11, and 12, Arabic, Russian, and Korean. "Miss Wanda?" Noah asked in English. "Why do you think people didn't believe I could learn?" Wanda set down her tea. "Because they confused different with less. Because they thought if you didn't learn their way, you couldn't learn at all. That's stupid." "Yes," Wanda agreed. "It is." Noah switched to French. "Est-ce que tu es heureuse maintenant?" "Are you happy now?" Wanda looked around her office, at her diploma, at her notebook, at the 12 graduate students she was currently mentoring, all neurodivergent, all multilingual, all told at some point they were unteachable. "Oui, mon chéri," she said. "Je suis heureuse." "Yes, my dear. I am happy." On her desk, the German flashcard from that morning 6 months ago, the one Victoria had torn, had been carefully taped back together and laminated. "Guten Tag," it read. Good day. Finally it was. Wanda's voice carries over the final images. They said he'd never learn one language. He learned 9. How many geniuses are we dismissing because we're counting wrong? The screen splits. On the left, Wanda's chart, 9 of 9 complete. On the right, empty boxes, hundreds of them, representing dismissed talent, invisible expertise, potential erased by prejudice. Text appears. 38% of U.S. custodial workers hold foreign degrees, 9 languages, 26 weeks, one woman who refused to give up. Another line. How many brilliant people are you walking past every day? The final shot. Wanda and Noah standing together, speaking in 9 languages simultaneously, their voices layering into a symphony of proof. The question appears on screen. Who are you underestimating? Fade to black. Share this story. Tag someone whose brilliance is invisible.